So when we're in a negative state and we're, you know, bemoaning the state of the world and will it ever change, and oh, my family are driving me mad because they insist that they need meat for protein or something, the fact that we're thinking about it, talking about it, our blood flows to the back of the brain, cortisol and adrenaline sort of negatively goes into our body in a fight or flight reaction, and literally we set up a little circuitry of our physiological condition, our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations. It's like a little circuitry. So we only have to think back to the conversation with the family that resisted seeing earthlings. We only have to get a flash of an image on social media, and then our body feels it again. We have to think it, see it, remember it, and our body gets rewired to actually feel it as if it's happening again. This is where we get that trauma. However, it also fires and wires when we feel positive things. So if we can train ourselves to move from that place of limitation to abundance and health and self-care, and most importantly, visioning a vegan world, then we are going to be in a much more empowered state. So how are we going to do that? Firstly, become aware. We have ups and downs all the time. We have the normal things of life we pointed out, and then we throw Vistopia on the top. Okay, we're living in a non-vegan world, and we're reaching a tipping point, and we are seeing more darkness the more light we spread on this. So we've got to become aware of what our thought patterns are. Are we negative? Are we bemoaning other vegans? Are we seeing the $1 million vegan thing about the Pope and then making a social media post and saying, I don't believe we should be doing this. This is reductionism. Anything where we are negatively impacting something. Nothing wrong with having our views. We stay in an existential position that go, okay, maybe there's something I don't know here, and ask questions. Our whole physiology is going to be more open to finding solutions that are not antagonistic or causing resistance in other people. We've then got to find a way to extinguish those associations between those thoughts, feelings, reactions, and stress hormones, and create neural pathways that actually release serotonin and oxytocin, trust and hope, and these sort of things. Now, I wouldn't be sharing this with you unless I had powerful strategies that I put into place every day to keep me living in a world at which I can not only imagine the living in a vegan world, is actually being in a vegan world. Because once we visualize that, we can actually create the physiological state that would exist with the happy hormones. It's not to be naive here, because also we are starting to resonate with other people. And I think that's why we're starting to see a growth in veganism, because it's sort of what we call in training to that place. We have to become aware of what's going on within us, do our own homework first, so that we feel we're resonating in part of the solution. And then, of course, we'll be able to be an instrument for change. So there's a couple of things. We won't be able to do both of them. And I've got lots of resources that I'll get you to catch up with later. And some of you may have seen some of this before. I wholeheartedly recommend people learn to meditate. Okay, when we've got a really busy mind, when we're anxious, when we've got a lot of stress, some of you will be doing undercover work, others will be setting up small businesses, other people are taking to the street and having to repeatedly look at that material that hurts us so much. You know, one of us work full-time in animal social justice. You know, even when we have good strategies, our body is registering it because it's traumatic. We are hardwired actually to be empathic. The world is. There's all sorts of evidence for that. We're not hardwired for cruelty. We're hardwired for empathy, actually. And it's been stomped out of us in many ways. So we're going to learn to meditate. I'm going to send you you're going to have some links after this that you can. I've got a lovely meditation, about 15 minutes, a guided visualization of bringing our state to a state of relaxation, and then visualizing a world that we want to create, and actually teaching our bodies emotionally what it feels like to be in that future now. So I spend regular time in meditation is visualizing what it's going to be like when I can just walk down the road, go into any shop. There's abundance, there's not competition. You can go in and don't have to ask what's in the dishes, or only, as many of us do, just only go to those vegan restaurants. We're not worried about what is behind each of those consumer choices. You can imagine that, and you can bring your body to feel what it will feel like in the future. It doesn't just make us feel warm and fuzzy. I'll share with you some of the amazing research in a moment that is actually affecting physical matter in the outside world. But emotional freedom is something. So the meditation is the first thing, is emotional freedom technique, and that's known as the tapping technique. Now, I'm also, Leah, a little bit aware of time, and I've got a demonstration actually in a video that I'm just going to show you a link in a moment. But basically, it's really, and I'm sure we might have some people that are professionals in acupressure or acupuncture here, techniques that are certainly in acupuncture is 10,000 years old, is looking at meridians in the body. But basically, when we're emotional, whether it's, say, it's negative from where we feel frightened, or we're fear, or we're anguished by what we know is going on in the world, or it's a very visceral physical experience. And if we just try to sort of change our thoughts and do visualizations and positive affirmations, as important as they are, we must bring the body on the journey. I see meditation as a more relaxed way of unconsciously bringing our experience to be what we want it to be without distracting ourselves, teaching our body emotionally. Emotional freedom technique is when you are suffering potentially from burnout, where you're moving to that place where your body is holding on to that deep trauma. Emotional freedom technique is where we identify the emotion and then we tap on certain parts of the body whilst we're repeating. Although I am feeling fear, anxiety, or hatred of the human race, I love, honor, and respect myself. In the interest of time, I won't go right through it now, but we tap on the different parts which our acupuncture professionals would say was on different parts relating to different parts of the body. But in doing that, we are making contact with the body. We then say, and you'll be absolutely amazed, you slow down the breathing, and I'll do it in the little video I'm going to send you, is we slow our bodies down, we go through that. You'll be absolutely amazed. People say, I feel calmer. Because what you've done, you've joined the body, you've made contact, rather than just staying in the head and saying, although I'm feeling that, I'm not going to fade it or fix it and try to pretend it's not happening, shove it down and it becomes depressed. I'm going to let it pass through my body. We then choose the emotion we want. I want to feel calm. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel hopeful. You choose the words, because those words have physiological, hormonal thought associations peculiar to you. And so when you say it, but you then tap on the body and say, although I am feeling frightened or fearful, whatever you've chosen to move from, but I choose to feel hopeful, energetic, calm, you are literally anchoring into the body that connection. So that, for instance, overwhelm is an emotion I would feel a lot, as many of us do when we're active in so many things. I don't have to go through the tapping of all these different meridians in my body, because I've taught my body over years to move from one place to another. Different words, but from a limiting one to an abundant one. So I will just go here and say, I'm choosing to feel calm, focused, and relaxed. And I can physiologically move myself there. You can do it too. And if we don't, we depress it in the body. We try to imagine it's not happening. So what I'm going to, if you just go to my website, veganpsychologist.com, there's a little course there, goes over several lessons, about 6 lessons in it. It's a free program called Essential Skills for Vegan Advocacy. There's a download on emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping therapy. But also I do a video and I show you the way to actually pull it through in your body.